The zipper of the tent ripped open like a gunshot in the dead of night, and there he was, Jackson, shirtless and wild-eyed, his chest heaving as if he'd run from the devil himself. "Carter, don't make me say it," he growled, his voice a ragged whisper that sliced through the chill mountain air. But his eyes betrayed him, burning with a hunger that had no place in a family trip. I bolted upright on my sleeping bag, heart slamming against my ribs, because in that split second, under the sliver of moonlight filtering through the pines, I saw it. The secret he'd buried deeper than these Wyoming backwoods, and it was aimed straight at me. It started innocently enough, or so I told myself as we piled into the old Ford Explorer that muggy August afternoon in Laramie. I was 19, fresh out of my sophomore year at the University of Wyoming, majoring in environmental science because I loved the way the land whispered secrets if you listened close enough. Carter, my best friend since we bonded over stolen beers behind the high school bleachers 4 years back, had dragged me into this family camping ritual like it was some sacred rite of passage. "Dude, it's the Bridger-Teton National Forest," he'd said, slapping my shoulder with that easy grin of his, the one that made girls, and hell, half the guys on the dorm floor melt. "My folks have been doing this since before I was born. You'll love it. Bears, stars, s'mores. What more could a city boy want?" I wasn't exactly a city boy. Cheyenne's got its rough edges, all oil rigs and rodeo dust. But compared to the endless green sprawl of the Tetons, I felt like a tourist. Carter's family was the picture of American heartland. Dad, a burly rancher named Tom with a mustache that could hide a family of field mice. Mom, Linda, all warm hugs and Tupperware-packed casseroles. And then there was Jackson, Carter's older brother by 3 years, home from his first semester at Colorado State on summer break. Jackson was the golden boy, the one who'd lettered in football and wrestled state champ, the guy who could fix a carburetor blindfolded and quote Hemingway like it was scripture. I'd always admired him from afar. Hell, who wouldn't? 6'2" of lean muscle, sun-bleached blonde curls that fell just right, and blue eyes that seemed to hold the sky itself. We hit the trailhead by late afternoon, the air thick with pine sap and the distant rumble of a thunderstorm brewing over the peaks. The drive up had been all laughter and classic rock, Springsteen blasting Born to Run, as Carter and I arm-wrestled in the back seat, Jackson shotgun, cracking jokes about how I'd probably scream at the first spider. "Carter says you're tougher than you look, kid," Jackson had thrown over his shoulder, his gaze lingering in the rearview a beat too long. I chalked it up to Big Brother ribbing, but something in his tone snagged, like a hook in soft flesh. Setting up camp was a symphony of chaos. Tom barking orders like a drill sergeant, Linda unfurling the massive canvas tent that looked like it'd survived the Dust Bowl, Carter and I wrestling with the stakes while Jackson hauled firewood, his biceps flexing under a faded Rockies tee. By dusk, we had a fire roaring, the flames dancing like they were auditioning for a Bon Iver video. We roasted hot dogs on whittled sticks, the sizzle and pop mingling with the chorus of crickets and the occasional hoot of an owl. Stories flowed like the whiskey Tom pulled from his pack. Tales of Carter's first buck at 12, Jackson's epic wipeout on the Snake River Rapids last summer. I leaned back on a log, nursing a beer, feeling that rare buzz of belonging. This was America at its rawest. Wide open skies, the scent of earth and smoke, family ties knotted tight as bootlaces. But as the stars punched holes in the black velvet overhead, Jackson's gaze kept drifting my way. First, it was subtle, a shared laugh over Carter's bad pun, his knee brushing mine when he passed the marshmallows. Then, bolder, He'd catch my eye across the flames, holding it until I looked away, cheeks hot not just from the fire. Carter, oblivious, launched into a ghost story about Bigfoot haunting these very woods, his voice dropping to a theatrical whisper. And they say he drags you into the trees, screaming your name. We all chuckled, but Jackson's laugh was forced, his fingers drumming on his knee like he was holding back a storm. I crashed early, borrowing Carter's spare sleeping bag in the big family tent. The partition between kid side and adult side was a joke, just a thin flap of nylon that did nothing to muffle Tom's snores or Linda's contented sighs. Carter conked out fast, dead to the world after one too many beers, but sleep eluded me. The ground was hard, the air cool seeping through the mesh, and my mind replayed Jackson's glances like a glitchy film reel. What was his deal? He'd always been the straight arrow type, dated the prom queen back in high school, from what Carter said. But tonight, there was an edge to him, a restlessness that mirrored the wind rustling the aspens outside. That's when the zipper tore open. Jackson dropped to his knees inside the tent, the dim glow of his headlamp casting harsh shadows on his face. Sweat beaded his forehead despite the chill, and his breath came in sharp bursts. "Carter's out cold," he muttered, more to himself than me, glancing at his brother's sleeping form. Then his eyes locked on mine, fierce, almost feral. "We need to talk. Now." I swallowed hard, my pulse thundering. "Jackson, it's the middle of the outside." It wasn't a request. He grabbed my wrist, his grip firm but not bruising, and pulled me into the night. The fire had died to embers, glowing like dying coals in hell. We stumbled a few yards into the trees, the underbrush snagging at our jeans, until the tent was just a silhouette against the moonlit ridge. He released me abruptly, raking a hand through his curls. "Fuck, I can't do this anymore." His voice cracked, raw as an open wound. "Every time I see you with him, with Carter, laughing like that, it guts me." I froze, the words hanging heavy between us. "What are you talking about?" He stepped closer, too close, the heat of him cutting through the cold. "You. Me. This thing I've been choking down since the day Carter brought you home freshman year." His hand hovered near my arm, trembling. "I'm gay. Okay. And I'm in love with you." The world tilted. Pine needles crunched under my shifting weight as I backed up a step, my brain scrambling to process. Jackson, Golden Boy Jackson. Gay? In love with me? I'd never even. I'd fooled around with a guy once, drunk at a frat party. But that was curiosity, not this seismic confession ripping through the quiet woods. "Jackson. Wait. No. Don't." He closed the gap again, his fingers grazing my jaw, rough from days of chopping wood. I've tried burying it. Dating girls, throwing myself into football, telling myself it's just a phase. But tonight, watching you by the fire, all easy smiles and that laugh that lights up the dark. I can't pretend anymore. His lips crashed into mine before I could think, desperate and tasting of salt and smoke. My body betrayed me, leaning in, hands fisting his shirt, as fireworks exploded behind my eyes. It was fire and flood, all at once. The wrongness of it, with his family 20 feet away. The rightness, like a puzzle piece slotting home. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed together, his breath mingling with mine. "What now?" I whispered, voice hoarse. He pulled back, eyes glistening. "I don't know. But if you tell Carter." A twig snapped nearby. We whipped around to see a shadow detach from the trees, Carter, bleary-eyed, flashlight beam slicing the dark. Guys? What's going on? Jackson's face drained of color. Nothing. Just bear scare. He forced a laugh, but it died flat. Carter eyed us, suspicion flickering. Right? Well, get back inside before Mom freaks. As we trudged to the tent, Jackson's hand brushed mine. A ghost of a touch, loaded with promise and peril. I lay awake the rest of the night, staring at the tent ceiling, the weight of his secret settling like fog over the valley. Unforgettable? Yeah. But this was just the spark. The real blaze was coming. Dawn broke over the Tetons like a reluctant apology, painting the peaks in hesitant pinks and golds that did nothing to thaw the ice in my veins. I zipped out of the tent first, pretending to hunt for coffee grounds, but really just needing air that didn't reek of pine and betrayal. Jackson's kiss lingered like a bruise, sweet, ticking, impossible. How do you unring that bell? How do you face your best friend's brother after he's handed you his heart on a platter? Raw and bleeding? Carter emerged next, yawning like a bear cub, oblivious to the fault line cracking open beneath us. Man, that was some storm last night. Heard thunder rolling in my dreams. He stretched, his lanky frame silhouetted against the sunrise, and for a gut-wrenching second, I envied his ignorance. Carter was my anchor, the guy who'd punched a bully for calling me a fag in 8th grade, who'd split his last joint with me during finals week. If he knew. Earth to Alex, he said, snapping his fingers. You look like you saw a ghost. Or Bigfoot. I forced a grin. Nah, just the altitude messing with me. Let's get that fire going. Breakfast was a strained affair. Tom's flapjacks sizzling on the griddle, Linda humming an old Dolly Parton tune as she sliced cantaloupe, Jackson silent as a stone, nursing black coffee with eyes downcast. He wouldn't meet my gaze, and every accidental brush, passing the syrup, our boots tangling under the log, sent jolts through me. By the time we packed for the day's hike to Jenny Lake, the tension hummed like a live wire. The trail wound through boulder fields and wildflower meadows, the air crisp with the tang of glacier melt. Carter led the charge, backpack thumping, regaling us with facts he'd Googled. Did you know this place is older than the Rockies themselves? Like, tectonic shift shit. Tom chuckled, clapping him on the back. That's my boy. While Linda snapped photos on her ancient cannon, cooing over columbines blooming defiant against the rocks. Jackson hung back with me, our strides sinking despite the chasm between us. About last night, he murmured finally, as we crested a ridge overlooking the turquoise shimmer of the lake. I didn't mean to unload like that. It's just, you're the first person I've ever said it to. Out loud, I glanced at him, wind tousling his curls. Up close, in daylight, he looked younger, vulnerable, the cocky wrestler facade stripped bare. It's okay. I mean, there's a lot, but I'm not freaked out. Not exactly. His eyes lit up, a tentative hope flickering. Yeah. We paused at a viewpoint, the family ahead, their laughter carrying on the breeze. On impulse, I bumped his shoulder. Secret's safe with me, Jay. He smiled then, real and radiant, and for a moment, the world narrowed to just us, two guys on a mountain, sharing a truth that felt bigger than the vista sprawling below. The hike down was easier, buoyed by stolen glances and whispered asides. His hand steadying me over a stream, our fingers lingering a second too long. That night, around the fire, the dynamic shifted subtly. Carter challenged us to a game of charades. Teams divvied up mom and dad versus us kids. Jackson and I synced like we'd rehearsed. Me miming a bucking bronco. Him guessing rodeo on the first wild flail. Him acting out a lovesick puppy. Me blurting Romeo and Juliet with a wink that made his ears pink. Carter hooted, none the wiser, but Tom raised an eyebrow over his pipe. You two are cheating. Some kind of telepathy? Just good vibes. Dad, Jackson said smoothly, but his knee pressed against mine under the blanket of dusk. As embers faded, Carter crashed early again, claiming trail fatigue. I lingered, helping Linda douse the fire, but Jackson caught my eye from the shadows. Walk with me? He asked, voice low. We slipped away to the lake's edge, the water lapping soft as a sigh under a canopy of stars. Moonlight silvered the ripples, turning the world ethereal. He spread a spare jacket on the pebbled shore, and we sat, shoulders touching, the silence comfortable now, laced with possibility. Tell me about it, I said finally. When did you know? He picked up a flat stone, skipping it across the surface 3 bounces. For sophomore year, wrestling camp. This guy on the team. We got drunk one night, ended up messing around in the showers. Freaked me out so bad I transferred schools mid-year. Told everyone it was for academics. He huffed a bitter laugh. Academics. Right. I nodded, the confession pulling at something in me. I'd always played it straight, dates with cheerleaders, hookups at parties, but there'd been questions, flickers. Like that night with frat bro Mike, fumbling in the dark, wondering if it fit. I get it. Hiding shit like that. It's like carrying a backpack full of bricks. His hand found mine in the dark. Tentative, then sure. You're not hiding, are you? Not anymore. The kiss this time was slower, exploratory, lips parting, tongues tentative, building to a heat that made my skin hum. His fingers traced my collarbone, slipping under my shirt, and I arched into it, the world dissolving to the taste of him. Salt and pine, want and wonder. We pulled apart when voices echoed from camp, Tom calling for a head count. Back in the tent, inches from Carter's snores, I lay awake, replaying the curve of Jackson's smile, the way his breath hitched. This was reckless, a powder keg with family matches all around. But damn if it didn't feel alive. The next day cracked it open. We canoed on the lake, the 4 of us, me and Jackson in one boat, Carter and Tom in another, Linda sunning on shore. The paddles sliced rhythmic through the glassy water, sunlight dappling like scattered coins. Carter hooped as we raced, his competitive streak firing, but Jackson and I fell into sync, strokes mirroring, boat cutting clean. Losers by ice cream, Carter yelled, pulling ahead. Jackson leaned close, breath warm on my neck. Bet we catch him. We did, surging past on a burst of adrenaline. But as we coasted to the dock, disaster struck. Our canoe clipped a submerged log, crunch, tilt, and water flooded in. I lunged for balance, but Jackson grabbed me first, hauling me upright as we swamped. Cold lake water shocked my skin, but his arms around me, solid and sure, turned panic to thrill. We surfaced sputtering, Carter's boat circling back. Holy shit, you okay? He hollered, face pale. Fine, I gasped, but Jackson's hand lingered on my waist underwater, a secret anchor. That night, storm clouds gathered for real, thunder grumbling like an old man's complaint. Rain pattered tentative on the tent, then sheeted down, turning the ground to mud. Huddled inside, cards in hand by lantern light, the family vibe held, stories of childhood floods, Tom's war tales from Nam. But Jackson's foot nudged mine under the sleeping bags, a Morse code of mischief. Carter noticed. As lightning flashed, illuminating his frown, he muttered, "You two are weirdly buddy-buddy this trip." Jackson tensed beside me. "What? Can't a brother bond with your friend?" Carter shrugged, but his eyes narrowed. "Just saying." Feels off. The air thickened, rain hammering like accusations. I laughed it off. Blame the wilderness, man. But sleep came fitful, dreams tangled with kisses and crashes. Morning brought blue skies, but the undercurrent lingered. We broke camp early, packing in record time, Tom's jokes falling flat. On the drive down, Carter rode shotgun, Jackson and I in back, knees touching when the road bumped. He slipped me a note when no one looked. "Denver next weekend? My dorm. No secrets." Pocketed it, heart racing. But as Laramie Flats unrolled, Carter twisted in his seat. "Hey, Alex, truth or dare?" "Dare," I said, reckless. Kiss the next guy we pass on the highway. Laughter erupted, but Jackson's grip on the seat whitened his knuckles. The dare hung, a daredevil edge to the easy camaraderie. Little did I know, it was the first crack in the dam. Back in Cheyenne, the real world crashed in like a hangover after that high-altitude haze. Classes loomed. Midterms I'd half-assed studying for, and Carter buried himself in ranch chores, leaving me to my shitty apartment above the laundromat, where the dryers hummed like judgmental ghosts. But Jackson's note burned a hole in my pocket, a siren call to Denver. 2 hours north on I-25, past the endless prairie that stretched like God's own blank canvas. I told myself it was just curiosity, a one-off to unpack the camping fever dream. Lies we tell ourselves, right? The kind that grease the skids straight to hell. I rolled into Fort Collins on a crisp September Friday, the college town buzzing with frat banners and co-ed giggles spilling from dive bars. Jackson's dorm was a concrete bunker called Aspen Hall. 3rd floor, room 312. Easy to find, impossible to forget. He buzzed me up, door swinging open to a blast of Axe body spray and indie rock, some band crooning about lost boys and leather jackets. "You made it," he said, grin splitting wide, pulling me into a hug that lingered south of bro code. The room was a shrine to jock minimalism. Twin bed buried under flannel, desk piled with protein shakes and poli-sci texts, a Rockies poster curling at the edges. We cracked beers from his mini-fridge, sitting cross-legged on the floor, knees knocking like awkward teenagers. "Missed this," he admitted, clinking bottles. "The woods, the stars. You." Conversation flowed easy at first, campus gripes, his crush on a TA who looked like Ryan Gosling, my roommate's latest drum solo at 3 a.m. But the air crackled, charged like pre-storm ozone. When our hands brushed reaching for chips, neither pulled away. "About the dare," he said suddenly, voice dropping. "Carter's got no idea, does he?" I shook my head. "Not yet. But he's sniffing around." Jackson's jaw tightened. "He's protective. Always has been. Thinks I'm the screw-up for ditching wrestling, for wasting my scholarship spot." He air-quoted bitter. "If he knew about this, he'd lose it." The word hung, a dare of its own. I leaned in, testing, And he met me halfway, kisses turning fervent, hands roaming with the pent-up urgency of secrets starved. Clothes shed in a tangle, skin on skin, the dorm's thin walls be damned. It was messy, intense, nails scraping backs, gasps muffled in pillows, like we'd been starving and this was the feast. Afterward, tangled in sheets, his head on my chest, he whispered, "This scares me, Alex." But it's the best kind of scared. We saw each other weekends after that, stealing time like thieves. Late-night drives to the Cache La Poudre River, where we'd park the truck and lose hours in the bed under blankets. Stars wheeling overhead, coffee runs in Boulder, fingers interlacing under cafe tables, pretending we were just bros. He opened up slow, nights praying his feelings were a sin he could sweat out in the gym. The relief of that first shower fumble turning to terror when his teammate ghosted him after. "You're different," he'd say, tracing patterns on my thigh. "You see me." And God, I did. Jackson wasn't just the hot older brother. He was the guy who left voicemails reciting beat poetry when drunk, who cried watching Brokeback Mountain but swore it was dust in his eye. He made me question my own straight-laced script, the dates I'd faked, the labels I'd dodged. With him, I felt seen, raw, real, romantic, hell yes, in that all-American way. Mixtapes of the National and bonfires in borrowed fields, notes tucked in textbooks, thinking of your laugh. J. But cracks spiderwebbed. Carter started texting more, probing, "You been MIA? Dude. Everything cool?" I'd brush it off, just buried in labs, but guilt gnawed, a rat in the walls. Then came the betrayal, sharp as a switchblade. It was mid-October, leaves turning the front range to fire. Jackson invited me to a CSU tailgate, Broncos game on screens, brats grilling, the whole rah-rah ritual. "Carter won't be there," he promised. "He's got a date in Cheyenne," I showed, blending into the sea of orange jerseys. But fate's a cruel joker. Halfway through my third beer, Carter appeared solo, dumped by text en route, drowning sorrows in Jell-O shots. "Alex? What the?" His eyes widened, scanning the crowd, landing on Jackson across the lot, laughing with teammates. "Surprise visit," I lied, heart sinking. "Saw the game on TV. Figured why not?" He bought it, mostly, slinging an arm around me for sloppy hugs and shots. But when Jackson sauntered over, beer in hand, the air iced. "Bro, didn't know you were coming." Jackson's hug was stiff, eyes flicking to me, warning, "Apology." Carter pulled him aside, voices low but rising. "What's with you two? Ever since camping, it's like you're attached at the hip." "Jealous," Jackson teased, but it fell flat. "Fuck off. Just be careful, man. Alex is solid. Don't drag him into your shit." I caught the tail end, stomach twisting. Jackson's shit. The drinking binges after breakups, the one-night stands he'd confessed in whispers. Carter knew fragments, protected him fierce. That night, after Carter stumbled off to crash at a buddy's, Jackson and I fought, first time, ugly and real. "You're ashamed," I accused, pacing his room. The game roared distant through the window. "No, it's him, Carter. He'd never understand." Jackson raked his hair, eyes wild. "He's my blood, Alex. If I lose him, you think this is easy for me?" I shot back, voice cracking. "Lying to my best friend? Every time I see you, it's a knife twist." He grabbed my arms, pulling me close. "Then let's tell him. Together, panic flared. Now, like this, we didn't. Instead, we made up in the frantic way hurt lovers do, bodies colliding, words swallowed in moans. But the seed was planted, festering. Thanksgiving loomed, a family gauntlet. Carter's invite. Full spread at the ranch. Bring your A-game. Bro, no flakes. Jackson cornered me pre-holiday. We come clean after pie. Deal? I nodded, but dread coiled tight. The drive to the ranch was a pressure cooker Carter shotgun. Blasting Zach Bryan. Jackson and I in back. Hands clenched in laps. Dinner was Norman Rockwell perfection. Turkey carved tableside. Linda's cornbread stuffing. Tom's toasts to blood and chosen family. Laughter flowed. Wine loosened tongues. But under the table, Jackson's boot nudged mine steadfast. Then, post-pie, in the den with cordials and elf flickering on TV, it shattered. Carter, buzzed and bold, pulled out his phone. Found this gem, he slurred, cueing a video from the tailgate. Grainy footage, me and Jackson, mid-laugh, my hand on his arm a beat too intimate. Whoa, look at you lovebirds, Carter joked, but his smile faltered. Jackson went still. Delete that. Why? Scared I'll post it. Carter's eyes sharpened, piecing it. Wait. Holy shit. The room spun. Tom's pipe clattered in the ashtray. Linda's hand flew to her mouth. Boys. Carter stood, face crumpling. You? With my brother? How long? Alex. Months, Jackson said, rising, voice steady. And I love him. Betrayal hit like a gut punch. Carter's eyes on me. Wounded. Furious. You lied. To my face. Every goddamn day. He stormed out, door slamming like thunder. Jackson reached for me, but I recoiled. This is on us. The holiday curdled. Carter slept in the barn. I crashed on the couch, staring at ceiling beams scarred by generations. Morning brought frost, literal and not. Tom pulled Jackson aside for a talk. Gruff words about figuring your path. Son. Linda hugged me tight, whispering, love's love, honey. But family. That's the hard part. Carter avoided me, packing his truck in silence. As I loaded my bag, he finally spoke, voice raw, I trusted you. Both of you. I'm sorry, I choked. It wasn't planned. Doesn't matter. He gunned the engine, tires spitting gravel. Get out of my life. Jackson drove me home, the silence deafening. He'll come around, he said, but doubt shadowed his eyes. Weeks blurred. Texts from Carter went unread. My calls to voicemail. Jackson and I clung tighter. Weekends in hidden motels. But the fracture bled into us. Fights over nothing. His jealousy when I mentioned mutual friends. My resentment at his half-assed coming out to his folks. They love you anyway, I snapped once. Carter might too, if you'd fight for it. I'm fighting for us, he yelled back. Climax brewed that December, snow blanketing the plains like a shroud. Carter's birthday party, a low-key bar bash in Cheyenne. Jackson begged off. I went alone, masochist that I was. The dive was packed, neon buzzing over pool tables, George straight on the juke. Carter held court, shots lined up, but his laugh rang hollow. He cornered me by the bathroom, breath beery. Miss me, every day, tears pricked. Carter, please, fuck you. But his punch didn't land. Instead, he sagged against the wall, sobbing. Why him? Why my brother? Because it's real. I pulled him into a hug. Brothers in loss. I never meant to hurt you. We talked till closing, ugly truths spilling. His fear of losing us both, my guilt like lead. Dawn found us in his truck, parked at a diner, pancakes cooling as he grilled. You happy? Scared shitless. But yeah, he nodded, weary. Then keep him honest. And don't lie to me again. Relief flooded, fragile as new ice. I texted Jackson, we're good. Sort of. But the real storm hit that night. Jackson's call at 2 a.m. Voice shattered. Come now. Please. The drive to Fort Collins was a blur of slushy highways and wipers slapping rhythm. My wipers slapping rhythm. My knuckles white on the wheel. Jackson's voice on the line had been a wreck. Choked sobs. Words tumbling. I told my coach. About everything. He flipped. Said I'm off the team. Or at least, until I get my head straight. Irony. Thy name is homophobia. By the time I burst into Aspen Hall, he was a ghost of himself. Curls matted, eyes red-rimmed, a half-empty whiskey bottle on the desk. He outed me to the whole squad, Jackson rasped, collapsing into my arms. Texted the group chat. Jackson's queer. Watch your backs in the showers. Laugh riot. Right? Rage boiled. Hot and helpless. I held him as he broke. The golden boy fracturing into shards. We'll fight it, I vowed, stroking his back. File a complaint. Sue the bastard. But dawn brought clarity's cold edge. CSU's athletic department was old boys club. Whispers of don't ask, don't tell policies buried under Title IX facades. Jackson's scholarship hung by a thread. One wrong word, and poof, tuition bills that'd bankrupt the ranch. I can't drag Mom and Dad into this, he said, staring at the snow-glazed window. Not after everything. We hunkered down. A bunker mentality. Classes skipped. Takeout curries and Netflix binges. His hand in mine like a lifeline. Friends trickled support. A teammate who'd suspected. Slipping apology notes under the door. A sorority girl from his lit class organizing a quiet rally on the quad. But the isolation gnawed. Turning our love inward. Fierce but frayed. Christmas came barbed. Carter showed at the ranch. Truce tentative. Awkward gift swaps. Tom's hem glazed with forced cheer. Under the tree, Jackson and I exchanged glances loaded with subtext. Our fingers brushing over wrapping paper. That night, in the attic guest room, we stole moments. Slow kisses by the slanted window. Snow falling soft outside. Muffling the world's judgment. You're my home, he murmured, tracing my scars, emotional, invisible. It was romantic, humanistic, the quiet rebellion of two souls carving space in a house built on secrets. But betrayal's shadow lengthened. Early January, I caught Jackson on his phone. Voice hushed. Yeah, it's casual. Nothing serious. My stomach dropped. I peeked the screen. Text to some guy named Tyler. Hookup app lingo that twisted like a knife. Explain. I demanded when he hung up, heart hammering. He deflated. It's nothing. Just blowing off steam. Coach's bullshit has me twisted. I needed to feel wanted without the weight. Without me. The words lashed, drawing blood. You think I'm the weight? No, God. Alex. He reached, but I jerked away. It's not like that. You're everything. This was stupid. A mistake. Betrayal stung deeper than Carter's. Because this was us, the fragile thing we'd built, cracked by his fear. You outed yourself for US, then hide behind apps? What are we? Jackson. We screamed then, voices echoing off dorm walls, accusations flying like shrapnel. My clinginess, his cowardice. I love you, he yelled, but I can't breathe. Love. I laughed bitter. This ain't love. It's a cage. I stormed out, boots crunching snow to my truck, tears freezing on lashes. Back in Cheyenne, Carter found me at the bar, 3 whiskeys deep. Rough night. He slid onto the stool, ordering rounds. I spilled the coach, the app, the implosion. He listened, face stormy. Idiot, he muttered, not specifying which. But he's scared. Alex. Ranch life chews up different. Give him space. Space. The word mocked over weeks. Unanswered texts. My heart a bruise that throbbed with every Laramie sunset. Spring break hit, and Carter dragged me to the ranch, neutral ground, where Jackson waited, gaunt and guilty, Tom's old guitar in lap. We talked in the hayloft, dust motes dancing in sunbeams, the air thick with alfalfa and regret. I fucked up, he started, strumming a mournful chord. Tyler's nothing, a panic fuck. But you're the one I dream about. The one I'd burn it all for. Tears tracked his cheeks. Coach is gone, resigned after the dean got wind. Scholarship's safe. But without you, empty. I wanted to hate him, but love's a stubborn weed. Prove it, I whispered. He did, then, kissing me like absolution, hands gentle, reverent. We made love slow, in the loft's hush, bodies sinking like the first time, but deeper, scarred and stronger. Afterward, wrapped in his jacket, he sang off-key Dylan, the times they are a-changin', and I laughed through tears. Humanistic, yeah, forgiveness not as fairy tale, but gritty choice. Carter knew, of course, caught us descending the ladder, hands linked. His sigh was world-weary. Just, don't make me regret this. Summer scorched in, internships and bar shifts filling days, nights hours, road trip to Yellowstone, geysers erupting like our laughter, porch swings at the ranch, Tom's nod turning to invitations for supper with the boys, pride in Denver, rainbow flags whipping, Jackson's hand in mine public, proud. But climax loomed, thunderhead on the horizon. Late July, a call from Linda, Jackson's gone missing. Since yesterday, panic clawed. Carter and I tore through back roads, truck lights cutting dark, calling his name till hoarse. Found him at our lake spot from camping, bottle empty, staring at water like it held answers. Thought about swimming out, he admitted, voice hollow. Ending the noise, my heart stopped. Why? Article in the paper. Local pastor railing against groomers in schools. Quoted my coming out as cautionary tale. Ranch calls pouring in. Dad's losing clients. It's my fault. Carter knelt, gripping his shoulder. Bullshit. Family's family. We'll weather. But the weight crushed depression's black dog sinking claws. Therapy started. Reluctant. Meds. A bitter pill. I moved to Fort Collins that fall. Subletting near campus. Our lives intertwining. Shared lease. Morning coffees. His head in my lap during study marathons. Yet conflict simmered. One night, post-argument over his late gym sessions. Hiding again? He snapped. You don't get it. Every day, I wake up waiting for you to bail. I won't, I vowed. But doubt crept. Was this sustainable? This American dream of queer love amid heartland grit? The breaking point came midterms. Rain lashing like judgment. Jackson's ex-teammate Tyler, DM'd me pics. Jackson at a party, lips on his neck. Thought you should know, the caption sneered. Betrayal redux. Venomous. I confronted, photos trembling in hand. Again, he blanched. It's not, he cornered me. Drunk. I pushed him off. Liar. Evidence screamed otherwise. We're done. I fled to Carter's, crashing on his couch. World ash. He held vigil, brewing coffee at dawn. He loves you, idiot. But love's work. Make him earn it. Rock bottom's a funny place. Cold linoleum of Carter's bathroom floor. Puking up regret and cheap tequila. His hand on my back like an anchor in the storm. Breathe, man, he murmured, echoing our high school nights after losses. Brotherhood reborn, ironic and redemptive. Days blurred in Cheyenne limbo. Me crashing at the ranch, helping Tom mend fences, literal wire, metaphorical walls, while Linda stuffed me with pot roast and wisdom. Boys like you too, you fight hard 'cause you love hard. Don't quit now. Jackson's texts bombarded. Please. Poems. Voicemails cracking with sobs. I ghosted, nursing wounds in the wide-open spaces that once felt freeing, now vast and echoing. Climax brewed not in screams, but silence's slow burn. Until one frostbitten November eve, headlights pierced the ranch drive. Jackson's beater truck, mud-caked, him emerging like a penitent, duffel slung over shoulder. Go home, I said from the porch, breath fogging, arms crossed tight. Not without you. He dropped the bag, steps deliberate. Carter watched from the barn door, silent sentinel. I get it, the pics, the doubt. Tyler's a snake. Set up the shot, sent it to hurt. I filed charges, harassment. Proofs in my phone. He held it out. Videos timestamped. Confrontation. Jackson shoving Tyler away. Fury etched. But that's excuse, not absolution. I betrayed you twice, 'cause fear's my Achilles. Scared you'd see the mess under the shine. Leave before I broke you. Wind howled, carrying his words like confession. You're right, I hid. But no more. I love you, Alex. Queer, broken, ranch raised me. All in, tears stung. And if it's not enough, then let me go. His voice shattered. But I'll fight. For us. I cracked then, pulling him into the cold. Lips meeting in a kiss tasting of salt and second chances. Desperate, devouring, the porch light haloing us like some heartland saint. Carter cleared his throat, smirking. Get a room, lovebirds. Inside, before Mom sees and starts planning the wedding. Laughter broke the dam. Nervous, healing. We talked till stars wheeled. Boundaries etched, no apps. Full transparency. Therapy doubled, couple sessions. Raw as surgery. Spring thawed us slow. Hikes in the Tetons Redux. This time with Carter's blessing, him shotgun. Ribbing us over playlists. Less whiny folk. More Metallica. He'd gripe, but his hand on Jackson's shoulder said forgiveness. Graduation hit, Jackson's poli-sci degree. My EnviroCert, and we loaded a U-Haul for Denver. Entry-level jobs in sustainability nonprofits. Apartment with a view of the Rockies' jagged teeth. Life settled into rhythm. Brunches with Carter's new girl, a vet student with sass. Tom's pride flags fluttering defiant at the ranch. Linda's scrapbooks now including pride pics. But humanistic endings aren't tidy bows. They're scarred quilts, pieced from pain. One night, anniversary marked by candlelight and takeout tie, Jackson knelt, not ring, but a keychain, 2 silver aspens entwined. Not forever yet, he said, eyes shining. But home. With you. Tears fell. Joy's quiet flood. We made love after. Slow and sure. Bodies mapping familiar territories. Whispers weaving dreams. Adoptions maybe. Someday. Road trips cross-country. Chasing sunsets from sea to shining sea. Years folded promotions. A dog named Scout. Carter's wedding where Jackson walked him down. Tears and toasts to the family we chose. Betrayals faded to footnotes. Conflicts to catalysts. The secret that started it all now legend. That camping trip. Zippers rip. The night that unraveled us to remake stronger. America's heartland, with its wide skies and narrow minds, taught us love's not fireworks but hearth. Tended daily, against winds that howl. Unforgettable? Damn right. And worth every scar.